Most people running meta ads right now are operating on a strategy that stopped working 8 months ago, and their numbers are showing it, but they still can't seem to figure out why. Well, I've tested over 10,000 meta ad creatives across more than 100 brands in the last 18 months, and after Andromeda dropped, I watched brand after brand hit the same ceiling, ROAS declining, spend stalling, and no idea why. But the brands that figured it out scaled further than they ever were before, and the difference was always the same thing. They had a system for testing creative, and the ones that didn't were just running ads and hoping something would work. In this video, I'm breaking down what Andromeda actually changed, why most brands are still getting it wrong, and the rules we now run in every ad account in 2026. But before we actually get into it, I want to address a few things that a lot of people still believe about meta ads that aren't actually true anymore. So some common myths. Myth 1, more creative volume is the answer. Now you hear it everywhere. Test more ads, diversify your creative, keep the pipeline full. There's a grain of truth in it, and you do need to test, but running 40 ads with no system isn't testing. It's guessing with more budget, and there's a big difference. So I audit ad accounts every week and I see the same thing. A brand will launch a batch of ads, and within a couple of days, one of those ads will be eating most of the budget. Then the rest of the ads barely spend anything and will get switched off. But a lot of the time, no one knows what made that one winning ad actually work. They don't know if it was the hook, the creative style, the specific pain point that they led with. Nobody tracked it, so they find it very difficult to recreate it. In most scenarios, they actually can't make another winning ad. They're just surviving on this one ad. Sometimes it's a few ads, but that's how it looks a lot of the time. Now, this whole time whilst this is going on, the algorithm is trying to learn from an ad account that's saying something different in every single ad. Now, post Andromeda, that matters more than ever. The algorithm needs to see the same type of message repeated across ads to build on. Without that, you're resetting every single time. Now, in a lot of scenarios, what will happen is you'll have a creative agency, you'll have a creative strategist, you'll have a static design agency, be making some founder ads. So you've got these 4 different sources of ad creatives coming into the ad account, and they just won't be working together. You'll have some static agency and they're making clickbait ads and driving people to click. It's getting a lot of attention, but then it's going to a product page. Or you have a creative agency and they're just spamming UGC ads. They've got no strategy behind it. You've got your founder ads that are building on the story, but it's not really digging into the pain points. And then you've got your internal creative strategists that are just pumping out volume. What you need is you need all of these ads to be working together towards your specific messaging in the market, your specific positioning in the marketplace. Every single one of these ads should be testing a specific theory, and every ad should be learning from each other. And this means you'll begin to get compounding results in the ad account rather than just a couple winners here and there. Now, myth 2 is audience targeting is still what drives performance. Now, the algorithm does the targeting now. This is $1 trillion company that we're talking about. You do not know how to place your ads better than this $1 trillion company. So what you do is you put inside the ad who you want Meta to target, not the audience you set up in the campaign. Now, there's a few scenarios where we have clients and they're doing some interest-based targeting a lot of time on the B2B stuff. However, in e-commerce, in D2C, even SaaS brands that are really scaling right now, we're seeing broad audiences doing all of the work. Now, if that ad isn't speaking to anyone specific, no interest stack is going to fix it. No podcast ad where you spend $10,000 on a podcast is going to fix it. No amount of ads is going to fix it. The brands that are still obsessing over audience segmentation, exclusion layers, interest stacks are optimizing something that stopped working a while ago. Now, I speak to founders every single week who've spent months tweaking their targeting and can't figure out why performance is down. But the targeting isn't the problem, the creative is the problem. No amount of audience work fixes a generic ad. So what you want to be doing is you want to be doing your research and getting hyper specific on who the target audience is, what their pain points is, what their desires are, what objections they have, and most importantly, what is their awareness level. Looking across all of your customer bases, what is the biggest, easiest group of people to target? And you want to be looking at that group of people. Usually solution aware is the easiest audience to get going with, but you can also start looking at problem aware. As you're scaling, you will have to go up the funnel, but you want to be making ads that are bottom of funnel as well, so you can sweep up those people who are interested, who have been on the website and landing page. But you've got to get very specific with who you're targeting. So myth 3 is that campaign structure is what separates good ad accounts from bad ones. Now, don't get me wrong, structure matters, but it's downstream of everything else. Now, I audit ad accounts with perfect naming conventions, clean campaign setup, proper budget allocation, running completely flat and not getting results. It's because the creative underneath wasn't built on anything real. You can organize your ad account perfectly and still still be scaling nothing. The structure doesn't make your ads work, the ads make the ads work. Now, the reason that this myth persists is because structure is so visible, it's so easy to point out, and it's easy to blame because there's so many different options that you can go through. Now, you can pull up your ads manager, you can show someone a clean account. You can't do that with a winning angle. You can't show people an ad and guarantee that it's going to work. Now, that's a common misconception. Your ad looks worse than mine, or this ad looks really good. You can't actually judge an actual ad unless you've got the customer data, you're doing that research, and you're understanding this is the target person that I'm targeting. The angle is what actually determines whether the ad account grows. You can't really judge an ad visually. You can kind of say, okay, yeah, that's a good hook, it looks like a good ad, but you can't truly judge it. And that's why people will just default to ad account structure. Here's what Andromeda actually changed. For anyone who isn't familiar, Andromeda was Meta's algorithm update that changed how creative actually gets distributed across the platform. A lot of people hate it, a lot of people love it, and I'm one of the ones that actually think it's a net positive change for the platform, and a lot of people will be annoyed at hearing that. But once you understand it, and hopefully this video will explain it, you'll be able to get better results than you were before. And it changed things in a way that most brands still haven't adjusted to. First of all, creative became the targeting. Now, it very much was the targeting before, but now it is 100% what does the main part of the targeting. It even scrapes your landing page. It even scrapes if people are filling in forms on the website, what people are buying, the things they're clicking on. It is scraping everything. So pretty much what your ad says and who it says it to the most is now the most important decision in your account, not the actual audience setup. As of recording this right now, I can go onto Ads Manager and I have access to over 100 ad accounts, from brands spending 50k a month, 100k a month, to brands spending $2 million a month. We have one client now that's spending $11 million a month. And across all of these brands, I have no bias because we're not media buyers. What we can say is we have clients that are doing Advantage Shopping Plus campaigns, clients that are doing CBO campaigns, CBO with minimum spends on the ad sets, people that are still doing ABO testing and CBO scaling. Across all of the brands, what matters is the creative, the alignment of that creative to the landing page, and the offer of obviously what you're actually selling and your creative strategy. So that's why that I can say that ad account structure isn't what's going to move the needle and get you to the next level. One of the brands we're actually working with, they were doing no creative strategy. They were spending about 60 to 100k a month on ads, and they were just basically doing founder-led ads. They were making a few ads, not doing that creative strategy. We came in and we mined all of their reviews, got all their customer data, segmented it into different personas and pain points, what they cared about, understood the awareness level of the ad account, and we drafted a plan of mapping these personas to different creative styles, and we were able to double their ad spend in a 60-day period whilst maintaining their CPA. And that's the power of creative that actually speaks to individuals and specific pain points and angles and people. Now, the second thing that Andromeda changed, and it's the harsh truth and it's not actually really good news, is that creative fatigue happens faster. The algorithm learns quicker than it ever has before, and it moves on quicker as well. You know, it sees an ad, if it doesn't like the ad, it'll be done with it. Winning ads are dying in weeks, in a couple of months, instead of lasting for years and years like they have in the past. So before, you might run an ad and it might show some good results, it might start off a little bit and it might look like an early winner and eventually fatigue. Now it's pretty quick. If it likes an ad, it'll tag onto that ad and it'll scale like never before. Now, we still have ads that have been in the ad account for 6, 12 months, and that's really our goal, to make long-term winners, but it's just a little bit more difficult to do now. And we do see ads that pick up a little bit of spend, they get good results, but then eventually taper off. And we think it's because Andromeda is just learning so quick and it's just really prioritizing those winning ads. So if you don't have new angles coming in, performance will drop. It's just a matter of time. Now, number 3 is ads that speak to one specific person outperform ads that speak to everyone. A generic ad that could be talking to anyone converts no one, and an ad that names a specific frustration in that exact language that that specific person uses to describe it, that's what gets distributed and scaled. Now, broad messaging with tons of spend behind it doesn't work the way that it used to work. Number 4 is unstructured testing teaches the algorithm nothing. Now, Meta learns from your inputs, and if those inputs are scattered, then the learning is scattered as well. The brands that are winning right now and scaling are feeding the algorithm a consistent story. Same angles tested across different formats so it can build on what's learning instead of resetting every single week. Now, the best ad accounts that we see have a real structured approach where they have their main personas that align with the brand's main positioning, kind of messaging. You figure out, okay, what is the best angle, what is the best hook, and then you consistently test that across different formats. You test it and really try and build that ad account, and that's how you get compounded results, and that's how you can actually reach 7 figures a month in ad spend. So rule number 1, the winning angle never comes from the product out or from inside the business. So majority of the time, it's never the one that the brand thinks is the most important. It's never the one that came out of a team meeting. It's the one that comes from the customer, the language that they're already using to describe their product problem before they've even heard of the product. Every competitor in your category is walking past the same frustrated customer because they're briefing creative based on what they want to say rather than what the customer is already thinking. Now, the brand that finds that gap first and names it first wins the attention. That's the starting point for everything that we build. So you want to be using your customer reviews, your Reddit, wherever your customers are actually talking, post-purchase surveys, any post-purchase data you have, comment sections, that's where you can find their specific language. Now, rule number 2 is test angles, not just ads. So an angle is the one idea the whole ad is built around, the specific frustration or desire that makes that right person feel like the ad was made for them and the product was made for them. Now, I'm not just talking about the hook, the format, or the creator. It's the whole idea of the ad. Now, when you track angles instead of just ads, you start understanding which type of message actually converts your specific customer. And that's what builds up over time. That's how you can compound your ad account. And without it, you're just looking at spend and ROAS with no understanding of anything that's working and why, which means you can't actually replicate it when it stops. And it also means you can never get compounding results in your ad account. Now, rule number 3 is when you find a winner, build from it. A lot of brands find something working and will just put more budget behind it and scale it and scale it and scale it, which is half right. But the only problem is it will eventually fatigue. They'll go looking for something new, trying to make new ad creatives. Now, that cycle is obviously what keeps ad accounts stuck in the same spot month after month. What's better to do is build on what's already working. So you can take that same angle, test it in a different format. You can take the same concept, try a new hook. Now, you're not hunting for a new winner every single time, but what you're doing is you're getting more out of the ones that you already have. You're collecting more data on what works with your customers, and eventually you will find those new angles and those new winning ads. Now, one example of this is we had a winning ad that spent 6 figures, the simplest thing in the world that we did. We got a UGC creator to record a green screen ad. So how that looked was the winning ad was behind them and they were in a corner of the screen, and they speaking through saying, I saw this product on Facebook and I had to try it, and then played the hook of that winning ad. And we made another ad that spent 6 figures, as simple as that. You can do that by changing the hook. You can do that by building from the angle, by chopping and changing the existing footage that you have, getting new creators. There's so many ways that you can make new winning ads, and that's what the job is to do and try and find. Now, rule number 4 is have a real decision framework written down before you launch. Now, there's 2 mistakes that you need to watch out for here. The first one is pulling ads too early. So if an ad's getting spend, the algorithm is still learning. So give it some room to actually spend and get results. The second is keeping ads running out of hope. If something hasn't hit target after a few weeks or spent a lot of budget, holding on to it is just burning your budget. And it's very important to find the line between those 2 mistakes. So what you want to do is write your decision criteria before an ad even goes live. So always optimize for purchase, of course, not add to cart or traffic or view content, which surprisingly enough, I know a lot of you will be thinking, okay, that's obvious. I still audit ad accounts spending a decent amount of money. They're optimizing for the wrong thing, which is crazy in 2026, because whatever you actually optimize for is what the pixel will learn to find. Now, rule 5 is track everything, not just what works. So you need to know what angle was tested, what format, what hook, and what the result was for every single ad. Without that, you have no way to build on anything. An ad that underperformed at $500 spend can become a winner when one thing is changed, but only if you know what the element you need to change is. Now, a tracker, some kind of simple tracker, is what separates brands that build on their results over time from brands that just keep starting off over and over again. Now, using these 5 rules, we took a supplement brand from $500K to $1 million a month in meta ad spend in 60 days. We took a car accessories brand from $90K to over $2 million per month in revenue in just 7 months. Now, one of our clients came to us, they were working 12-hour days, running the ads himself, writing the scripts, managing every single piece of content himself, and still losing ground because his best ads were dying and he had no idea to replace them. So he went from being the bottleneck in his own business to only having to approve final ads once a week. Now, the creative was built from the customer research, tested with structure, and then iterated based on what the data was actually saying. That's what this system can actually produce. And in 2026, the brands that have it are going to keep pulling further ahead than the ones that don't. So if you want my team to run this for your brand, the research, the angles, the creative system, the link is in the description and you can book a free call. We'll audit your ad account, show you exactly which angles are worth testing, and map out what this looks like for your brand specifically. Now, if you want to see the full process in action, how we go from a blank page to a complete creative package for a real brand step by step, I broke that down in this video right here, and I'll see you in the next one.